How aware were you when you clicked on this video? Were you kind of just passively and mindlessly scrolling on YouTube, or did you have some kind of intention for even being on this website in the first place? How aware are you right now? Are you aware of your thoughts? Are you aware of your body sensations? Are you aware of your present experience? Most of what we do, 90+%, is either unconscious or subconscious, meaning that we're not really placing a lot of attention or awareness into what we're actually doing. And when you really think about it, if 90% of our life is subconscious or unconscious, that means that there are forces that are currently out of our control that are dictating the majority of our life because we are not applying awareness to them. The reason why meditation is so powerful is because it allows you to become aware of yourself in the present moment. It gives you the opportunity to observe yourself right now. It gives you the opportunity to observe all of that subconscious and unconscious stuff that is guiding you through life. It allows you to make your shadow, your unconscious, conscious. It allows you to rewire yourself. It gives you a lot more control over your destiny. It gives you a lot more security in the present experience. If you aren't being aware of yourself in the present moment, then you're going to be acting subconsciously or unconsciously. And think about it from the point of view of your entire life. You don't want to live your whole life on autopilot. And without meditation, without awareness, without observing yourself in the present moment every single day, without practicing it, the majority of your life is going to be dictated by unconscious forces that exist inside of you. You're going to be living on autopilot. And the most scary part about that is that you're not even going to know that you're living on autopilot. In fact, if you were to confront yourself about that, it's very easy for your mind to dismiss it, because accepting the fact that you're living on autopilot, that can be kind of difficult. And if you really accept that, you're probably going to want to do something to change that. That means that you're going to have to restructure how you're living your life. You're going to have to add new habits. You're going to have to eliminate certain habits. You're going to have to rethink why you're making the decisions that you're making. A lot of things get called into question when you really begin to apply awareness to yourself. And sometimes it can be kind of scary to notice that. So a lot of people will just deny it. So if you really begin to confront yourself about how much you're living in autopilot, very easy for our minds to just deny it, push it away, because we don't want to see something that is true. We don't want to see something about ourselves because it can cause us pain. It can make us sad, or it can make us feel ashamed, or it can make us feel angry, like we're wasting time, or it makes us feel like we're stupid or something. There's some sort of form of pain that we're going to be trying to avoid by ignoring what is true about us. So without making your unconscious conditioning conscious, you're going to be stuck within various patterns. Humans are systems, right? We are complicated, very holistic systems that are very interconnected. And various patterns inside of us interact with other patterns, right? And it begins to create this sense of who you are. It creates this sense of ego, this sense of identity, this sense of individuality. And it's all the conditioning that's going to be creating that is going to be controlling your life. So without applying awareness to all that stuff, you're going to be remaining trapped within it. And I want to give you some very specific examples of what that conditioning is so that you get a better idea of what I'm even talking about. Triggers are one, things that piss you off or make you reactive. Fears are another one. Avoidance patterns. I was just talking about that with ignoring something that's true about yourself that you don't want to see. Basically, avoiding things that you have to do, avoiding emotional pain, avoiding yourself in this present experience. The next one is childhood programming and beliefs. Beliefs about money, beliefs about relationships, beliefs about spirituality, beliefs about religion, beliefs about science, beliefs about politics, all the stuff that you were basically brainwashed with in your childhood, that doesn't really go anywhere until you begin to really shine a lot of awareness on it. And in fact, it controls you as you live your life. It has huge impacts on you that don't go anywhere unless you actually participate in therapy or a meditation practice or serious, very serious personal development and take a look at your psychology. The next one is trauma, minor and major. Social conditioning is another one. This is really big because the social world influences us quite a lot. And if you guys haven't noticed, the social world can be kind of ridiculous. A lot of modern trends are ridiculous. They're stupid. A lot of what goes on in the social domain is for status, just for money, for sex, to look good, to be popular, to not appear weak, right? And it's a lot of this kind of stuff that is going to be impacting how we relate to people in our interpersonal relationships. And a lot of it is highly inauthentic. It has nothing to do with what the core of our being desires. It has everything to do with societal expectations and social expectations. Another good one is survival patterns that have been passed down to us through evolution, right? We have a bunch of basically wiring inside of us that's been passed down from generation to generation to generation that's designed to help us to survive. We have certain patterns that our ancestors had to develop inside of themselves so that they could live in the wilderness, however many years ago. And all that stuff still exists within you, inside of you. And it doesn't really go anywhere. It's playing itself out very unconsciously unless you begin to apply awareness to it, and then it can kind of settle down. You develop a little bit more detachment from it. It doesn't control you as much. You're not as identified with it. You don't get sucked into it as much. You have more freedom. That's a very key word here, is freedom. Without awareness, you're not free. You're acting unconsciously. You're a slave to your programming. The next one is beliefs about yourself that you've picked up wherever, from your friends, teachers, parents, culture, environment, whatever it is. All the stuff that you are constantly accumulating from the world around you and the things that you yourself are creating, this kind of stuff gets stuck inside of you, and it can only really be removed through consciousness. The next one is relationship patterns and attachment styles. So how we actually relate to our intimate partner and how we get attached to them, whether we have a secure attachment, an avoidant, an anxious, a fearful avoidant, right? I hope you guys are relatively familiar with attachment styles. You can just do a quick Google search. But all that stuff, once again, doesn't really heal. We can't really have a very secure attachment style without awareness. We are going to be doomed to our current programming, which to me is horrifying. So you're going to be living on autopilot. And I really want that to sink in, that your life will be determined by unconscious, very arbitrary forces that you had little to no control of, and you didn't really do anything to change any of it unless you practice meditation, unless you actually continuously observe yourself in the present experience, unless you actually do it every single day. There's no substitute for this. Meditation is not going for a run, but Lucas, my version of meditation is going for a run. No, it's not. That's very different. I go for runs too. Very athletic, very distinct things. You need practices in your life every single day that build consciousness inside of you. They make you more aware of your thoughts, more detached from them. You're able to question them. You see your patterns in your relationships. You see your emotional patterns. You see your avoidance patterns. You can see your fears. You can see all of the underlying and invisible things that are going on inside of you. You need some kind of practice that allows you to observe those things. You need to take a look into your subjective, invisible world. A lot of this stuff is very subtle. You don't really stumble across it without an intention to stumble across it. Humans are very programmed to look externally because that's what helped us to survive. It's a habit that we have because looking externally helps us to get food, helps us to get shelter, helps us to get money, helps us to have sex. We have to learn how to actually relate to our inner world as well and turn backwards into ourselves so that we are not just mindless animals who are slaves to our conditioning. And it's your job to take responsibility for your own conditioning. So the good news about this is that this whole thing is actually within your control. You just have to be very honest with yourself about your conditioning, about your habits, about your patterns. You have to be very honest about the fact that, yes, I'm living in autopilot. Like, for example, what's the first thing you did when you wake up this morning? Did you roll over and grab your phone? Right? How conscious of a habit was that? What was really going on there? Were you just bored and instantly craving stimulation? Like, what's even going on there? What kind of food do you eat? Do you even treat food as like something that you can use to nourish yourself and give you energy, or do you use it for entertainment? Do you enjoy McDonald's or Burger King or chips, junk food, sodas? Do you use it to just stimulate yourself even more? What's really going on there? Why aren't you meditating? You have the time. But Lucas, I don't have the time to meditate. That's nonsense. You have 10 minutes a day. You have the time. You have 10 minutes right when you wake up in the morning. You have another 10 minutes at night, I bet. Right? You're choosing to do things that keep you asleep, that keep you unconscious, that keep you in autopilot. You're constantly choosing to scroll on your phone, to check your email over and over again, to scroll on YouTube mindlessly, to scroll on Instagram mindlessly, to hang out with people who aren't supportive to you. You're not reinforcing the habits that you need to be reinforcing in order to wake up, in order to stop living in autopilot. And a quick disclaimer, there's no shame with living in autopilot. It's actually going to be the default way that you live your life, most likely for the rest of your life. The thing is, though, is that all of the patterns that make up your subconscious mind or your autopilot, they can be changed. So you have the ability to really rewire yourself. And awareness is how you go about doing that. So there's no shame in living in autopilot. There's nothing bad about it. I'm talking in autopilot right now. It's a very subconscious thing, right? And as I begin to say that, I begin to place more attention on the sensations in my throat, how my voice gets kind of propelled outwards. So you need to actually recognize how subconscious and unconscious your life really is, and begin to just apply awareness and begin to shift things so that they are actually healthy for you and really work for you, so that you're not living your life based off of the unconscious conditioning that you picked up between the ages of 0 to 18, right? Most people, they don't go back and they don't really rewire their minds, and that conditioning from the first, kind of 20 years of their life, that really dictates the rest of their life, unfortunately. So you can change. There's nothing wrong with living in autopilot. It's not a bad thing. The only problem is when it doesn't serve you, when you're eating junk food repetitively every single day, when you're scrolling on your phone a lot, when you're stuck in, avoidant attachment style. Why don't you meditate? Why don't you go to therapy? Why don't you seek to make the necessary changes that you actually have to make? We don't want to live our lives stuck in unconscious patterns that don't serve us. We want to build the patterns in our lives that actually serve us and give us clarity. They give us meaningful, close and connected relationships. They give us health. They give us meaningful careers. Right? And the choice is yours. What kind of life do you want to live? That's it for this video. I'm offering one-to-one coaching. You can book a free call. Link is in the description. Take it easy.